That's how I'm feeling right now. This is my creative tank. And we're gonna work on filling her up. Well, hello there and welcome to my humble abode. You may have noticed we're in a little bit of a kitchen today. So I just needed a little bit of a change of scenery because you see, I am in a funk. I'm in a funk of sorts. So I have my little handy dandy book of crosswords. I have my handy dandy sketchbook. I have a little Kindle because I'm gonna read you some quotes. And we're gonna talk, you and me, about being creative in trying times because dang, do I feel you. If you have ever felt like you are giving it your all and nothing is working, you just need to know that you are not alone because it is so freaking hard to be creative in today's environment. You are valid in wanting to sit in your room and scribble whatever you want to scribble without having to think to yourself like, how can I monetize this new hobby of mine? Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't need to monetize it. And don't get me wrong, I know the feeling, I know the urge of feeling like, well, maybe you should monetize it because this economy is no joke. Or rather, it feels like a joke. And it's not a funny one. So you, me, we're gonna have a little heart to heart here, all right? We're gonna need to figure something out because I can't have you down in the dumps, my best friend, my dearest, my coolest cat in the world. I can't have you down in the dumps and I need you to look me in the eye. You got this. You got this. Okay, cool. Hi, and welcome to another episode. Welcome to another episode of the Reclaimed Creative Mindset and Motivation for Everyday Creativity. My name is Jen Carmiel and I'm your host. And at this point, I'm your accountability buddy. I wanted to share with you a book that I'm reading, which has to do with failing publicly. A huge fear of all of us creatives, but it has some really interesting insight and I think that you would like it. I'm also going to share my own personal woes of sorts about like different things that I'm considering right now, different life transitions. As someone who has been a working artist going on 3 years now, I have had my calendar booked out for commissions like every single month for the past year and a half, which is kind of crazy to think about. But it's true. Like I feel so blessed to have that opportunity. And yet somehow, I don't know, energetically, I just feel very blocked, very shut off. And rather than continuing to postpone not posting anything because I'm not in the mood, here I am posting something and letting you see me in the mood. I'm reading a book right now, actually. It's called You Should Be So Lucky. The main character is named Eddie, and he is a baseball player who is known to be super duper lucky all of his life. And then he completely loses all ability to do anything right. He just cannot hit a ball at all. And it's so interesting to read this book and to watch this story unfold of someone who desperately wants to succeed and never being able to kind of do it. It's sort of like they've reached it once and then they can't really seem to see if it happens again kind of thing. And I'm sure that a lot of creatives can relate to this feeling. I know that whenever I was on the other side of it, at this point I have had social media posts go viral and result in a bunch of sales overnight. I've had my YouTube channel monetize. I've had huge market sales days, all that kinds of stuff. But it's the inconsistency that is sometimes very difficult to shoulder. Like a lot of times you see those moments happen online. It feels like a big victory. Like it feels like you've made it. But it turns out it's actually pretty hard to hold on to, at least that I have found. I kind of want to read you some quotes from that book because it was so interesting. Give me 1 minute. It specifically talks about failing in front of an audience, which I think a lot of creatives who are, publishing themselves online, a lot of us can relate to that feeling of, if I show up online, people will see me fail. And so here's some quotes that I really like from the book. I'm going to fail. I'm going to lose, and I'm going to do it in front of a lot of people. And the only thing left for me to figure out is whether I can stand to keep losing. I think that's a really interesting way to phrase the conflict of really wanting to succeed at something that you're very, very passionate about, but also grappling with the concept of feeling like you're letting people down. And something that I feel like I was kind of shocked about a lot in reading this book too, is how much of the book takes place in the feeling of like feeling like you're continuing to fail. When I read the premise of this book, I always expected for this conflict to be resolved somewhat soon. Like I expected like for it to be established as the beginning, but that they get over it quickly, maybe resolved, I don't know, in the first chunk or so. But I'm about halfway through this book about 200 pages into it, 150 to 200, and they're still struggling greatly with that concept. And it's sort of like the freedom is found in reckoning with the fact that failure doesn't matter, and that whatever you are working towards is not the whole picture. The whole picture is your whole life, you know? It is not like whether or not you get this one thing right. In the case of the book, it's not like getting the perfect home run or getting the team to win. Like, he has a life larger than that. In the same way, any creative living their life has a life so much larger than the work that we make. Like, our work feels so personal to us. It feels like, in so many ways for myself, it felt like my purpose, like in life, since I was very young. And so that made it feel very heavy for me. Something that was really important in the book too is how Eddie, the baseball player, had to create a life outside of baseball in order to get better at the craft. So in the beginning of the book, it felt like he had no community. He was in a new city. He didn't know anybody, and he didn't really connect with anything in life. And that disconnection from life made, in part, like, I haven't finished the book yet. I'm only like halfway through. But in a large part, this disconnection from life is the reason why I believe, as I read it presently, that he's failing at what he desperately wants to achieve. And similarly, for artists and creatives, sometimes we get so up in our heads, we get so turned around in our head about how the things that we make need to be monumental. I have to make the best painting of my career. I need to write the best song. You know, like, you think about all the different art that you consume in the world, and you want yours to be just as good, if not better. You want it to be celebrated the way that you see art celebrated around you. And in this sort of desperate attempt to feel seen as an artist, you end up kind of shooting yourself in the foot, because all it does is continue to give your power away and continue to drain the heart of everything that you do, which is not to gain acclaim, to gain an audience. None of this is for that. It is simply to connect. It is simply to feel alive. And if you miss that, if you lose sight of the reason you create is to feel connected with your community, to feel connected to life, to feel alive. When you lose that and start trying to say, I'm creating this to make X amount of money or to get views, like, it sounds so simple when you say it like that, right? But sometimes you need to hear it. And I know myself in the last few months, having worked really, really hard on my art business, worked hard on the work that I make, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense to want your work to be seen and loved and appreciated. But you've got to slow it down. You've really got to slow it down. And if you ever start to lose that spark, lose the heart of your work, you have to take it back to the basics. You have to get reconnected to life again. You need to look around and say, where do I feel the most connected in my life? Because chances are you could look around and say, dang, I don't have community. I don't have friends, family that I talk to often enough. I don't have hobbies outside of creating the work that I want to do. You know, like, you've singularly made this one thing mean so much in your life, and it just can't hold that weight. And so you have to let some of it go. I don't know. I'm on a little bit of a soapbox, but I didn't fully finish my tangent as I was talking in the kitchen just then. So that's where I was going with it, folks. Let me know if you resonate. I'm really curious to know if any of this hits. So let me know in the comments what your experience is regarding, like, the loss of self, loss of identity in the work that you do. Because I've been feeling that lately. But I'm very tempted to, think together about what it might feel like to have true compassion for yourself, for your creative heart inside, and to not place too much pressure on her or him, if you're a him watching, but I'll use feminine pronouns because that's who I am. To have a lot of compassion for her and to not try to squeeze her like an orange for orange juice, because that's how I'm feeling right now. This is my creative tank. And we're gonna work on filling her up. I feel like we really need to have compassion for the fact that we cannot be endlessly producing. You know what I mean? It really sucks that we live in a society that you have to pay rent and put food on the table, and that things cost so much. Everything is so expensive. Being an artist in the modern age requires a lot of sacrifice, it feels like, because a lot of times I can feel so tempted to make the work that I feel like will produce well or will sell well, will go over well. And in some way I do feel fulfilled by that, but then in another little half of my heart and soul, I feel a little bit disappointed that I can't be fully free. And it makes me wonder, can you be fully free as an artist? Because I saw a video today, and it was sort of one of those videos I just put on the background to listen to while I was driving on my commute. And it mentioned how if you are an artist today, you have to be a content creator. And more specifically, I think their exact words were, you have to be a content creator first and an artist second. And that makes my heart a little bit sad, I gotta say. I mean, like, I love to make videos. I love to show up online at times. I like to be goofy and fun. But at my heart of hearts, I'm an artist, you know? Like, I see things in silly, unconventional ways, and I like to experiment, and like social media does not reward that kind of experimentation. And I often feel very yucky at times about trying to get online and like, you know, work the algorithm in my favor. Like, I know that you're supposed to be able to do that and for it to be fine, but I don't know. I hate it personally. I know for myself, I'm in a bit of a transition period as I sit here in front of you. And I don't know what the future holds, but I have to hold on and be optimistic that it will be okay, that it'll be better than what I am currently sitting in the middle of, because all I know is that I'm a bit tired. I've sort of gotten to a point where it's hard for me to visualize. Usually I can visualize like the life that I might want to live, and it's kind of hard for me to see that right now. It's hard for me to see what the ideal version of my life should be, because what I thought the ideal life that I wanted, it just doesn't feel right, you know? Sometimes you go and embark on this journey and then you test and try everything out, and then you're like, dang, I don't know if I like this. In my case, it's that I have like a large workload, like, and I'm so blessed to have such a big workload. But like, I'm not living the lifestyle that I enjoy, because I just, my schedule is all wonky, all crazy. And so it's not vibing. And I just feel so blocked. It's like when I try to think about posting about my artwork, it just feels like there's this big wall in front of me that I don't know that I can't find any door or window to get through. Because I can't pretend that I have it all together, because I definitely do not. I can't pretend that I have it all figured out, because I have no freaking clue what I'm doing. In some ways, I can feel like I'm letting people down, because I'll get comments at times where people say very nice things like, oh, yay, I'm gonna try to be an artist like you. And I'm like, my sweet summer child, am I someone to look after? Am I someone to look after? I don't know. And I wish that I knew the answer to any or all of this. And yet I don't. Because I think that's kind of what a creative life means. It means kind of just wandering about in a forest where you don't see any path at all and you just kind of forge your own, right? And supposedly that's supposed to be fun, but sometimes when you're in a funk, the way that I'm in a funk, it don't feel too fun. It just feels confusing. There are ways that we can keep ourselves company in these times, right? We can doodle little doodles at times. We can pet our little kitty cats. We can drink lemonade or tea. We can eat yummy nourishment. We can have some dark chocolate with almonds. That's one of my favorites. We can clean up our space so that we feel very nice and comfortable within it. In other words, we can go back to the small joys, which is kind of the thesis statement of everything that I do, I feel like. Anytime I come back to the bare bones, back to the beginning, I think that's one of the hard things about being very ambitious as a person. I'm a very ambitious person. And I really want to achieve a lot in my life, and yet I feel like there's not enough time in the day to be doing everything that I want to do. If I'm going to leave you with a journal prompt of sorts, it would be this. Try to think back and reflect to your earliest possible memories of creativity. What did that look like for you? Where were you sitting? What did it smell like in the room? What did you love the most about that moment? Try to recapture that moment exactly. Write it all out like you are a best-selling author. And then, maybe, just maybe, find a couple ways to bring it to life tonight. if I think of my earliest memories of being creative, it was sitting on the school bus with my friend drawing mermaids and castles with like printer paper inside of a pink folder, and just making up those stories was enough for me back then, and that I was very happy and satisfied with it. Didn't even mean anything to me. And so if I was going to try to recreate a moment like that, I might grab my own little folder and draw a fairy or a mermaid or a castle and allow it to mean absolutely nothing. Sometimes nothing is the meaning. Thank you for spending time with me today. I hope that you got a little bit of understanding out of talking today, knowing that you're not alone. For instance, if you are a creative out there trying your very best and feeling like sometimes nothing's working really, just understand that's how it goes. Every single person in the world will feel like this. Feelings often feel very isolating when we think that no one else has felt that way. And so this video is me telling you, I feel that way. Everybody feels that way. And that's okay. People get through these days. There will always be a day after tomorrow. A tomorrow after today. You know what I mean. As always, spending any amount of time here with me on this channel is a gift. I really do consider it a gift, and for that, this humble artist says thank you.